It's April 17th, 2013, and you're listening to another episode of Bites Over Bagel!
You were trying to decide, and you thought you had more time when she changed her mind.
It's Chicago's favorite tech morning show. With me, as always, is one Miss Heather Brown.
Hello.
One Mr. Brett Mackey. And everyone's favorite nemesis, Dave Seiler.
Clearly, I missed the memo.
Yeah, right.
Your host, John Osler, and we got another great show for you today. On today's show, we have...
Anthony Broad-Crawford, Chief Product Officer of GiveForward.
Ooh, and it's a good interview. This kid, I'll tell you what, he's an import from Cali, but man, does he have Chicago blood. This kid is already bleeding Chicago tech blood, and it's pretty impressive. This interview is badass.
It's great. I think we all we cried, we laughed,
That's actually true.
Yeah, it's a full suite of emotions.
GiveForward is a legit organization, so stick around for that. We got a lot of show, per usual. So let's
Get on to it.
The title of today's episode is...
If you like it, then you should have put a hyphen in it. If you like it, you should have put a hyphen in it.
Today's show is sponsored by Trust Coffee. Check them out at botrust.com.
It's now that time of the show we call the Bagel Bite.
So Twitter is releasing a music app, suggests music based on people you follow. What do you think, Dave?
Cool, kind of.
I don't get it. What does that mean?
I guess it means that if I follow Justin Bieber, I'm going to get suggested Justin Bieber-ish songs.
What if you follow?
I'm not going to follow you then.
What if you follow Heather Brown? What are you
I don't
going to
know.
get?
Heather Brown, I think, subscribes to a lot of tap dance
Maybe.
channels.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Recommendations. That's a good one.
Channels.
Whole channels of tap.
Yeah,
Do those exist?
Sure.
Okay.
I want to follow people, but I don't want to know what they like in music.
Why does Twitter... Why Twitter? Why must
They're
you do
trying
that?
to take it
Killed
to the
with
next
Vine.
level.
They're like, all right, we did
Yeah.
video. Let's kill it with audio.
I think Vine should just... No, it shouldn't replace. But yeah, I think maybe having separate apps is a good thing.
It is
but
a separate
not
app.
Combine. Oh, it is?
It's a separate app.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. It hasn't
All
been
right.
released yet. So
Now you're good with it?
Now I'm fine.
Okay.
All right, let's go around the table. Dave, do
All
you
right.
like it or not?
No,
Why?
not my problem.
Heather.
That makes no sense, Dave. Yes, Mackie, I like it. Sure.
I don't care about it, so I don't like
Kind
it.
of feel the same.
And Twitter needs to slow its roll and launch one product per 5 years.
I don't care. Yeah, there's enough of these music apps out there that I'm good.
Okay. Fail Twitter. Better luck next time impressing us.
And hashtag that.
All right, moving on.
Heather, what you got? What you got?
There's this company called Jami, something like that. And it's a Estonia startup that has created this like water consumption tracker. They have two prototypes in the works. One that is like a band that goes around your water bottle that kind of prompts you to take a sip throughout the day to make sure you're drinking enough. And another prototype that they're creating is a similar device, but it also weighs the bottle to make sure you really are drinking enough, sends that data to your iPad, tracks, gets charts, all that good stuff, and, basically snipes you that you're not drinking enough water.
Man, I am just annoyed with all of the wristbands and everything telling me what I'm doing in
Dave,
the day.
it's the future. You
I
got to
know.
get on board.
I know.
You got to get on the board.
But I do agree. I mean, I think it's a good idea because
Because most people probably don't drink enough water.
I don't drink enough water.
So there you go.
Let's go around the room. Dave,
like it.
why?
Because I only wish to drink as much water as Heather Brown. She
Thanks.
drinks
Thanks,
so much
guys.
water, and if this thing helps me drink more water, I'm in.
Brett.
Don't like it. Don't need it. I drink enough. I'm not gonna
No,
weigh
wait
my
a sec,
water
Dave.
bottle
What if
down.
I was your personal water tracker? I just stood by your shoulder. I'm like, drink.
I would like
drink.
that. I would like that way better than like a thing on my water cup telling me
All
how much to
right.
drink.
Did you say it was developed in Estonia?
Yeah, it's an
I like-
Estonian
now I like it.
startup.
Now I
All
like
right,
it.
all right.
Nice.
That's what we
Good
needed to
change,
get
good
to. Good
change.
to. John, do you like it?
I like it. It's the future and first world solution to a first world problem.
There you go.
Heather?
I'm feeling good, though I don't need one. I think it's a sweet little thing. Meh.
All right, Dave, what you got?
3 Steve Jobs movies in 1 year? Kind of ridiculous to me.
Really?
Really? Justin Long, Ashton Kutcher, and an unannounced third movie by Aaron Sorkin.
Is the third movie like a...
It's actually, the third movie is based off of the Walter Isaacson book.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So what is it, a documentary?
Huh?
That's a big book. That's a lot to
It's a
cover.
big book, but wouldn't you think that everything is covered already?
Pirates of Silicon Valley. He was still alive, and they made that already. That's like half the book.
Yeah.
Not accurate, but
I don't know. It seems like a little much. Too much.
It's way too much.
Yeah.
There
All right.
should be some kind of rule that says you have to wait like at least 5 years after someone extremely famous passes to do a movie. I mean, you got to give it a little buffer.
Well, like the Hall of Fame in any sport, like you wait a while. No matter, like
you
Michael
gotta wait it
Jordan
out.
didn't get in the next year after he
Yeah,
retired.
can you imagine? They'd be like, no, you got to let him settle down. We got to decide if he really was legit.
Right. everyone was
All right.
debating that.
So now we're debating whether Steve Jobs is legit or not.
No,
All right, feeling good.
Just saying.
but everyone
Just
knows,
kidding.
but it's just, it's just a matter
It's true.
of
We need to give it a little time.
it's tradition.
All right, so
Yeah.
let's go around the room. Brett,
Do
I
you like it?
I like it.
you like
I do.
Will you be seeing all 3 of these movies or documentaries?
I watched a little bit of that Ashton Kutcher one.
Ooh.
Wait, what do you mean you watched it? It says it
Previews out?
Didn't it come out?
No.
I saw some
Oh,
previews.
that's
What do you got? What do you got?
embarrassing. All
I
right.
guess I just saw the
Legs
previews.
swept.
Wow. I guess I just saw the previews.
I watched a little bit of
He's
it.
like, oh, I actually saw a preview of The
That's
Great
how much I saw.
Gatsby.
That much.
a 10-second commercial preview.
I guess I thought I was watching it. I did turn it off really fast.
It's probably a preview of The Great Gatsby, and he's like, oh, yeah, I saw that. Not the same, not the same.
Dave?
Like it. Even though I said it's ridiculous, I will probably watch all of them.
Heather?
Verdict's still out.
Ooh, thumb is at even till. Mm-hmm. I do not like it, although I will watch it. At least the Ashton Kutcher
Why
one,
do you
that's
not
the-
like it?
I don't like it because I think it's too soon.
Okay,
Too soon.
fair enough.
And that concludes today's Bagel Bite.
Today's Bagel Bite, we're chomping on bagels from New York City Bagel Deli Catering. Get on over there today and get some kettle baked goodness.
Yay, good.
Standing on the 7th track with your platform shoes and a multicolored map.
Today's feature interview is with the Chief Product Officer at GiveForward, Anthony Broad-Crawford. That is a hyphenated last name. What is the deal with the hyphenated last name?
Yeah, so that's a pretty good story. I have a very aggressive wife. She's about 7
Who's
foot.
listening right now like, really?
Yeah, she's about 7'3", very angry on average.
She's a center.
Yeah, no, I wish I was that progressive that I could take my wife's last name, but no, it's via adoption.
Oh,
Very cool.
Nice.
that's pretty wicked.
No, and I wish it was like a greater story. Like there was some like Oliver Twist angle where I came out of some like really tiny orphanage in like the middle of nowhere in New York City, and it's like this. Yeah,
Definitely. South
No,
Africa.
I was, my parents split, which is, on average of the case these days, and my mom remarried, and I got adopted by my father.
Oh, interesting.
I hope this ends up being like 45 minutes of the interview.
That's a good
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
All right, so tell us a little bit about GiveForward and what you do there.
Yeah, so, GiveForward in one sentence or less is like the Kickstarter for healthcare medical expenses. So most people will turn to Kickstarter or Indiegogo if they want to launch a new mobile app, build a new consumer product, or anything along those lines. But when someone has a loved one or a friend or family member who is facing an unexpected medical expense, whether it be a death in the family, a gap in coverage, a lapse in coverage, or even if you work for the government and have the world's greatest healthcare and your child needs to go to Costa Rica to receive the best treatment, you're going to fly there, you're going to stay there, but room, board, and travel will never be covered. So even in those scenarios, you can find yourself with this unexpected medical expense, and people come to GiveForward to create a fundraising page to raise those funds from friends and family to cover that unexpected medical expense. So I am the Chief Product Officer. So I oversee product management, design, technology, customer support. So essentially, what is this crowdfunding product that we have, and where is it at, and where is it going?
So I was just wondering, I guess, how did GiveForward come to be?
So GiveForward was started by our two co-founders, Desiree and Ethan, who came out of Accelerate Labs, which is now Techstar Chicago, which is
Yes, indeed.
Really exciting. And they were at a Super Bowl party, and it was right around, I believe, Hurricane Katrina. And they were both kind of talking about how difficult it is to actually give forward in these scenarios. And they had this idea of, like, what if we created a platform where people could easily identify, you know, a need like Katrina or like a medical expense, and quickly create a fundraising page to raise these funds from friends and family. We've been around for a few years now. We have since begun to focus exclusively on medical expenses, and went from, you know, 2 founders to roughly a little over 30 people now, and growing rapidly.
So where do you see GiveForward going from here?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So whether it's GiveForward, Kickstarter, or Indiegogo, the entire marketplace seems to be really focused on kind of the start of the story, whether it's I'm raising funds to write a book, I'm raising funds to launch a consumer product, I'm raising funds to cover an unexpected medical expense. It seems to be very transactionally focused and exclusively, like, right at the start of anyone's journey. I'll give a personal example of, you know, my mother, who I was born and raised in Southern California, single mom, hence the hyphenated last name and that fun story. But she unfortunately came down with cancer. And, you know, she was working just a part-time job with 2 kids. And what people kind of only focus on is just that unexpected medical expense. But when you're taking time off work to go through chemotherapy, you're getting docked wages. And when you have kids, they are ending up in, you know, childcare. You're too tired to actually cook, so you end up, like, getting more takeout food. When you look just at kind of what is that initial medical expense, you're missing kind of the rest of the entire story. So as I look at crowdfunding in general, and more specifically as I look at GiveForward, I kind of see us really providing more comprehensive support for people that are going through these scenarios. And so it's not just this medical expense, and it's not just this one-time scenario. It's how can we support them through this entire process, whether it be the medical bill, whether it be, you know, them incapable of, you know, cooking food because they're going through chemotherapy, and all the other ways we can support them.
Yeah, I just saw there was one of the featured stories, I guess, about a guy that had cancer, that his dying wish was to have their honeymoon at Disneyland, I think,
Yeah.
where they proposed. And so that was my first look at GiveForward, and I was like, well, all right, I'm giving them some money. So
yeah,
it
that's
was like,
such an amazing story, and that's the Nolan family.
Yeah, the
and,
Nolan family.
And so here's, you know, 2 individuals who couldn't get married and couldn't go on their honeymoon because of, you know, the mounting medical expenses, and unfortunately, he's terminally ill. And so through GiveForward and through us, they were able to not just raise the funds to cover the medical expense, but to cover the wedding and to cover their honeymoon down to Disney World. And we've been working very closely with them. And just the other day, I got to watch a lot of the videos from their actual wedding. And it's one of the most inspiring things to actually be a part of, is to see 2 individuals get to do something like that. It's when you wake up each morning and realize that's what you get to do, you know you're in a very happy place.
Do you have a favorite story through GiveForward, or something that has touched you?
Yeah, I think I'll talk about 2. One I'm sure you guys have most likely heard of, which is Billy Ray, which is the homeless man from Kansas City who was, you know, requesting change from people on the street. And this woman gave a $2 donation only to go home and realize she dropped her engagement ring in there. Came back 3 days later, and she walked up to Billy Ray. He had, you know, was very enthusiastically, you know, reaching out to her saying, "I've been waiting for you. You gave me your engagement ring." And through our platform, we've been able to raise, I just checked the other day, we had like $188,000, you know, for Billy Ray. And so being able to provide a platform that's going to fundamentally change, his life and provide a vehicle for him to get back on his feet and to get back with his family, down in Texas is phenomenal. And there's also this little girl named Ava, and her campaign's called Pray for Ava. And this is this 8-year-old girl who has been fighting cancer for several years, and to kind of watch her and her family as they go through not just covering the medical expense, but to work closely with them and follow her as she's actually beat cancer as of like last week. She's cancer-free now. It's just phenomenal. And so as a new father, when you see our platform actually supporting a family going through a situation like that, it's very motivating.
In terms of the product and future product development, like what product do you offer? How are you guys using, I guess, technology to make these things happen?
I'm really excited about kind of, where we are taking the technology. I mean, in its simplest form, we're kind of going through one of those classic redev moments where we're actually coming up to speed on Ruby on Rails. We're very fortunate we're getting to use 4.0 and Ruby 2.0, but kind of as we look forward and as we're building out our API, and kind of back to my statement earlier that we're going to look beyond just raising the funds for that financial transaction and really look deeper into both how can we better support our customers, but two, not just kind of focus exclusively on the digital aspect, but really kind of embed ourselves within the business of healthcare. So how can we integrate with the hospitals to kind of work with patients at that point in time to cover the bills? How can we integrate into all the different live events they're doing around Chicago, for example? So it's not going to be just raising funds through our digital platform, whether it be kind of web or mobile.
So do you guys currently have people that call everyone who starts a fundraising initiative, correct? And kind of how do they currently guide people through the process?
Yeah, so one of the things that really makes us different is, first and foremost, this phrase we literally have hanging on the wall at GiveForward, which is called, or create unexpected joy. And one of the groups that really helps bring that to life is the group you're mentioning, and that's our coaching organization. I think in other companies, they call them like customer support, but what you're alluding to is they go above and beyond. And so anybody starting a fundraiser for a loved one or a friend gets assigned a specific coach. And outside of just walking you through some of the basics, they'll go above and beyond in actually identifying all the steps necessary to help you acquire the funds and support you need for that loved one who you're trying to help. And sometimes that includes turning them away from our platform. That includes, in addition to our platform, working with nonprofits out there. At the end of the day, we're focused on creating unexpected joy and providing support for these individuals. Everything else comes second.
The tech scene in Chicago is booming. There's an amazing amount of companies to work for. Why did you end up at GiveForward, and how is it different than any other tech startup here in Chicago?
No, I think that's a really great question. I think both for GiveForward and I think for the Midwest in general. So you're talking to a kid who's born and raised in Southern California, who all his close friends and acquaintances are sitting either in New York City or San Francisco. And the thing that excites me the most about GiveForward, the thing that excites me the most about the Midwest is you have the same quality of talent that you have here versus anywhere else. There's nothing in the water here that isn't in the water in San Francisco or New York City. But what you do have here is kind of a bullshit-free environment and kind of a hype-free environment focused on building real businesses that provide real value with things like acquisition and things like follow-on funding coming second. And when you look at all the different technologies you could be using out there, we're sitting the heart and soul of Ruby on Rails. And having been using that for a while, I couldn't imagine being in a different city and working with the people that I'm working with here.
What did it take for you to come to Chicago? I mean, how did this opportunity present itself?
It comes back to what GiveForward is doing. When I wake up every single morning, and I think I'm speaking for everyone at GiveForward right now, we realize that today, tomorrow, the day after that, we're going to make a real impact in someone's life, an individual's life. And there's nothing anybody can say to any one of us that will replace that. And that's just one person's life. When you realize what we're doing at GiveForward, we're impacting many lives. And I think that's what motivated me to come here. I think that's what motivates anybody at GiveForward right now. And I think that's what will motivate anyone who wants to come to GiveForward. I think what really drives us is what I just said, in that we are making a real impact on people's lives.
So now for the most important question of them all. What is your favorite bagel, and how do you like it prepared?
My favorite bagel is a extra sharp cheddar, preferably orange, and jalapeno with a little cracked pepper. Preferably served cut in half and just slightly toasted, day old.
Day old.
I told you I came prepared
Ding,
for that
ding,
question.
ding.
Very, very particular guy.
Yeah, that was awesome.
So, Anthony, how do you find out more about GiveForward?
So GiveForward, you can go to www.giveforward.com, where you can click on the Contact Us, whether you want to apply for one of our many open positions in design, development, product management, or more, or just learn more about how and what you can use GiveForward for. Again, giveforward.com.
Well, Anthony,
Wow.
thanks again for coming on the show.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's a good time. We are all very tuned into the GiveForward mission, so it's great to have you guys, and best of luck to you guys in your growth in Wicker Park.
Thank you very much.
Filling in the gaps today is Chicago's very own The Websters. That's spelled WEBSTIRS. Check them out at thewebsters.com. Little side note on the keys is Chicago's very own Rails iOS developer Mark Winkler. You can also check them out at bitesoverbagels.com.
And that concludes episode 9 of Bites Over Bagels! Join us next week where we'll feature
Wes Studi, founder of A-Frames Eyewear.
very cool interview. As always, check us out on the Facebooks and the Twitters. And as always, if you want the podcast to not stop at 2 minutes in the middle of the episode on our website, please subscribe on iTunes. We will love you just as much. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next week.